Bridge the Gap would like to express their gratitude to these community organizations: Yad Mihel, Richie Rich Foundation, Hatzolah of Queens, Ami Athletics. Support them by donating through Zelle or QuickPay. Every contribution counts to save a life.
Welcome back to Bridge the Gap podcast. I'm Zach. We have Moshe. We have Elon here, and we have a special guest, Richie Rich. In this episode, we'll be discussing giving back to the community, giving back. Special guest we have here tonight, Mr. Richie Rich, Richie Niktalov. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Now, Richie, as you all know, has become a celebrity jeweler. He's been featured on CNBC, Daily Mail, E-News, German Magazine. The list goes on and on. Richie, thank you very much for coming and joining us here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Would like to just get a little bit of your history. What was your upbringing like? Were you born here in New York? Were you born abroad? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So, first of all, thank you for having me. I was born and raised in the U.S., in New York. I'm 32 years old, live out in Queens. My upbringing was more of a modern Orthodox household, but I was brought up in a public school system.
You didn't grow up religious?
My family did grow up somewhat religious. As the years went on, we got more and more religious. But as myself, being in a public school system, it was more of like I was like the black sheep in the family. So I wouldn't call myself religious back then, but now I'm more religious than I was prior.
You chose to go to public school, or you had to go to public school?
Both.
You were a troublemaker, basically.
Both, yeah.
That's a great question. How did that go about?
First grade, I was in a yeshiva. They, every kid wants to move around, have fun, and the school suggested for my parents to give me certain medication to calm me down, and obviously my parents they refused, and the school didn't accept that, so they kicked me out.
What kind of medication are we talking about here?
It was for ADD.
ADD medication.
Yes. I was very fidgety, I was moving around, very excited, always wanted to wander around and explore. The teachers, the principals didn't like that because I was causing the other students not to focus and pay attention. And therefore, I was forced basically to go into a public school system.
So they told you to take the medication or get out.
Or get out, correct.
It's funny, I have a very, very similar story.
What's your story?
I was also, but this was a little bit later on in my life. In high school, actually. Same thing. They wanted me to take medication because I was fidgety and, wasn't able to focus, or according to their standards. There's actually a podcast that we should once have about the schooling system and how it is today. But interestingly enough, my parents did the same thing. They didn't give me any medication. I ended up going to school, a smaller school in Dallas, Texas, actually, for 2 years.
Look at us now. We did it without the medication.
But that's Ashkenaz schools. I went to like more immigrant schools, so they would. I mean, we were also fidgety and stuff.
The whole schools, the rabbis were fidgety. And
everyone was fidgety.
What?
Wait,
So
did you ever take the medication?
I didn't take the medication.
You never took the
my
medication?
parents did not.
It was Ritalin, right? That's what they were.
Adderall or Ritalin?
Adderall or Ritalin.
Yes.
But you know what's interesting? I had a client come in a month ago to the store. He was an older man. He's a doctor. And he was talking about this exact situation. He says, I've seen it. And he says, the guys who are fidgety in school, those kids who they can't sit, those guys end up becoming the most successful.
The most successful.
You know
Absolutely.
why?
Because they're doers.
Because they're doers. But it's more than just doers. They have this act. Their brain can think of 4 or 5 things at once. And that's really what makes Richie here very, very successful. Richie's a guy who's able to multitask like nobody else.
Correct.
This guy is able to run a business. He's got a huge business. He's a celebrity. He is a celebrity jeweler. Aside from that, giving back with all the different charity works that he does. And, we'll get into all that right now.
I'd love to know. Go ahead.
Do you know what the attention span of a fish is? Attention span of a fish is
That's what I probably have.
9 seconds. No, it's 9 seconds. It's brought down today that the attention span of kids and adults today, you ready for this?
3 seconds.
7 seconds.
Not bad.
7 seconds less than a fish. A fish could live in a fish tank because by the time he gets from one side to the other, he thinks he's in a different place. He thinks he's in the ocean. He doesn't know any better.
Right.
We're at 7 seconds today. But never taking the Ritalin, never going in that direction, which I feel is a big issue today. As Moshe was saying and Elon was saying, that it's a quick go-to for schools today to say, hey, this kid needs medication.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it with my friends'
throughout
kids.
the country. Throughout the world.
Correct. And a few of my friends have kids that are in the yeshiva, not only yeshiva, the public school system as well, but the principals and the school suggest to take these pills, and I definitely don't suggest it. Myself, Moshe, we lasted
guys are
without
living
it.
examples.
Well, that's because they're thinking more of the teachers than they are of the student, right? Because they want to make
they're
the
worried,
classroom.
easier for the teacher, correct.
It's more than that. Let me tell you something. First of all, it fixes one thing, and if the medication fixes one thing and hurts you in other areas. But aside from that, the reason is because there's a certain system of schooling that was created today, mostly by the Ashkenazi community. And the Ashkenaz community and their DNA, the way they're made, is very, very different than the way we're made up. Not that they don't have this kind of situation, but it's a lot more by the Sephardi community. We are just a little bit more wild, a little bit more, we're doers.
Driven.
It's a different. They came from Europe. Europe is more of a system where they were well-read intellectuals. We're more of the guys who are boots on the ground and getting things done, and therefore that's our personalities in our blood. But the system and the schooling that they created today was for their style, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're coming in and there are these kids who need that, like for example, you're sitting in school for 7-8 hours a day, just learning, reading, whatever it is. Me, if I was running a school, I would have an hour a day to teach these kids how to be carpenters, teach these kids how to fix plumbing, electric. Not the fact that they're going to ever be plumbers or electricians. These are small things around the house every man should know how to do, right? But these kids don't know. But if I, as a kid who had these kind of, needs and wants, would be able to be stimulated in different ways, I believe I'd also be better at schooling because now I'm able to have my energy, exerted some way.
So the whole, I agree with you. The whole school system needs to be reformed.
Yeah.
It needs to change. We can all attest to this. Looking back, be it elementary school or high school, what is the information that we learned back then that we still use today?
Yeah.
Even in college,
Probably nothing.
maybe 5% at most. But what Moshe was saying, that's the stuff that we need to learn: how to write checks, how to do financing,
Yeah. Balance your
and
books.
so on,
Invoices.
which will give us a better rate of success ultimately.
Baking for the girls, I think it's a big deal. Sewing for the girls, just simple things like that, day-to-day chores that I think the kids as they grow up they should learn how to do. Ironing. I mean, not that I'm trying to be chauvinist in one way and say girls should do one thing or not, but these are
How about something as simple as having a good basketball league in the schools, guys? We have yeshivas here. We don't have a gym for any of the yeshivas, and this is where I want to tie it in.
the Sephardi schools.
Amiathletics, absolutely.
Army athletics and the importance of sports, and this is really where I want to take it because growing up, I see a lot of these modern Orthodox schools. They have good programs for sports. They have hockey programs and football programs and basketball programs, and to me, it's very important because it allows the child.
Extracurricular, yeah.
Well, it allows the child to also disconnect from everything else and gives him a break. My kids. Sometimes I see them coming home from school. It's a long day. They're coming home, and I understand the schools also. They want to, keep the kids busy, but also give them a good curriculum. They're coming home after a whole day of school, and they have to do homework again. My kid's like, I don't want to do homework again, and I understand them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand them. It's hard. They want to play. All the kids are playing outside. They want to play, right? So, sports and things like that. So we have Richie here, who recently, out of a lot of the different programs, you want to say
No,
something?
before I get to that, I want to just learn about Richie's journey.
Okay.
Of how he became Richie Rich. What took you from being this regular Bukharian kid growing up in a jewelry family, and you turned into this big jewelry mogul? I want to know what led you in this path and direction.
So I'll definitely get to that. I don't put myself as one of the moguls of a jeweler. I still have a lot of ways to go to become that status, but obviously I was born into the business. On my days off, I would go into the shop, help out my dad, my uncle, and my brother and cousin run the office. From the age of 8, 9, 10 years old, I would see them hustling and moving things around. So it was kind of embedded into me. So I did have a choice to go to college and continue school, but I saw that wasn't the path for me. I wasn't able to sit still in a classroom and learn for 10 hours a day. That wasn't me. That wasn't my character. I needed to move fast. I was always on a fast pace. And thank God for social media in 2012 when I was about 18, I believe. Social media came out. I said, you know what? Let me give it a try. I start posting on social media. Start tagging multiple celebrities, athletes, influencers on social media. I was getting blocked, denied people were actually answering, and they would literally block me and say, "Yo, stop messaging us. We don't need your jewelry."
Oh wow.
Little do you know, 2 years in 2014, I get a message from one of the Spice Girls. As you know, if you're familiar with the Spice Girls, Mel B, one of her, not one of her, but her husband at the time messaged me anonymously saying, "Hey, I found your page on Instagram. I'm looking for an engagement ring. I'll give you a few options. You tell me if you could beat the option. If you could beat it, you have a deal."
So you were 22 at that point, right? You're saying 10 years ago.
Yeah, 22 years old basically.
Wow.
21 maybe 21 years old. But I ended up speaking to my brother. I said, "Listen, this random guy called me. I don't know his name. I don't know any information of him. He's willing to buy the stone. We're making a small profit, but he promises me that this person that the ring is for is going to blow up my Instagram." So we took the chance. I sent the wire information. He ended up paying us. Then when we received the wire, we see the full name of Mel B from the Spice Girls. You know, I was happy as hell. I was starstruck. I was like, "Oh my God, how the hell did this happen?" A few days later, I fly out to London, deliver the ring. She posts me up on social media, and my Instagram flew off from
The rest
there.
is history.
Is
huh?
that something they requested that you fly out to London to deliver it, or
I had to fly out because it was the anniversary was on Saturday. I had to fly out Thursday. He needed the ring by Friday, the latest.
so you flew out?
I flew out. I got the call Monday. I made the ring Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, I flew out. Landed there Friday morning. Handed it over. I flew out Saturday night.
So 21 years old, you're going out there, flying to London, delivering a ring, probably pretty expensive ring. Not
Correct.
something you're nervous about traveling out
I was
there.
definitely nervous.
Security?
At the time, I didn't have security.
Wow.
I was definitely nervous. It wasn't my first trip, luckily. I had smaller clientele that was still helping me build up my profile, but someone at that level, that was the first real big boom.
Did you see an immediate?
Response? Yes, right away. As soon as TMZ, all the news channels were picking it up that she got proposed to her, she's getting married, the news outlets blew up.
Oh wow.
So you really you caught a nice break there.
Yeah, I caught a nice fish. It was a nice fish on the rod.
Who would you say was your biggest customer or client that you dealt with?
To date, probably who was it? Madonna.
Wow.
Madonna's probably today, and LeBron James.
Oh.
I was sitting in my office. All of a sudden, I get a DM. Incredible. And at first, I was like, maybe it's a scam. Who could it be? I answered back. I was like, wow, thanks for the response. I sent the ring out just randomly to multiple people. LeBron James was one of them. He responded. I was starstruck. I was jumping up and down. I was like, no way LeBron James answered my DM. Little do you know, it was actually the bubble during the NBA season, during COVID. He asked me to fly out. I was literally standing outside his house for like 8 hours. Meanwhile, he has a bag full of jewelry. I was just waiting 8 hours in front of his driveway in the car until he returned the jewelry, until he picked what he wanted.
Wow.
Wow.
So you were not in there with him while he was going
No, at
through
that
it?
time, no. I gave him the bag. I said, look through it.
But you met him.
I met him later on, yes.
Gotcha.
I met him later
So you
on.
DM'd him. You have his number in your cell phone. Is
Now
that
I have
something?
his-
Is your boy that you kind of just reach out to him anytime?
I wouldn't bother him, but if I need to, I'll reach out to him.
Right. So if you need a donation for Ami Athletics,
We'll find
We
him.
can reach
we'll
out.
find him.
His number is on the link below.
so who would you say right now the biggest deal you've ever done? Who is that with a celebrity? Is that
Biggest deal as in price or biggest deal as in a celebrity?
Let's go both.
Yeah.
Both ways. Madonna's probably the biggest as far as naming,
Right.
and pricing is probably one of it's a private client from Saudi.
Wow.
They bought a crown. I made a full tiara.
Wow.
I mean, I heard rumors that you did something with Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye.
That's what I'm interested about.
Kanye, yes, that is a true rumor. For me, he wasn't anti-Semitic at the time when I was dealing with him. Maybe now he is, but we'll still bring up the story. Kanye West, a friend invited me to Art Basel out in New York, out in Miami. Sorry about that. We went to a private show. We start following his car because he was invited. As we pull up to the event, all his friends, family are getting on this RV backstage, and I decided, you know what, let me wait outside. You know, I don't want to invade his privacy. So he kind of saw that from a distance, and he knew I was with that certain friend of ours, and he was like, no, you're good to come on. So I went onto the trailer. I had like 10, 15 chains on, and I'm sitting quiet in the corner, minding my own business, and all of a sudden he snaps at everybody in the room. He starts kicking everybody out. Now I'm thinking he literally just invited me onto the trailer, and now he's trying to kick everybody out. I stayed calm. As I'm trying to get up to leave, you know, I thought he was talking to the mass, to everybody in the trailer. He was like, no, you sit down. You're okay. 5 minutes go by. He's staring at me, literally 3 minutes just staring at me. He was like, take off your chains. I'm like, oh, my God. What do I do? Is he going to rob me?
Is this a hold-up?
Yeah, is this a hold-up? What is he doing?
That's hilarious.
He calls me to the back room. There's a room full of clothing. He was like, pick out whatever you want.
Take off your... Okay.
He picks out, I tell him, all right, I'll take one of each, whatever it was. He was like, all right, I need your chains to borrow. No one can know. Put it on me. Make pretend it's mine. At the end of the show, I'll give it back to you. I was like, okay. He runs. I put it on him. He runs because he was late for his performance. Now I'm thinking, I lost it. That's it.
You're
I'm
out.
gone. I'm texting my brother, David, what do I do? He's on stage now. What happens if he doesn't give it back? David was like, calm down. Everything is going to be fine. He finishes off his performance. He gets back on the trailer. Now he gives back 4 of the chains out of 5. He was like, this chain I'm keeping. I was like, what do you mean you're keeping? He was like, what do you mean? I gave you advertisement. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. He was like, all right, here, take it back. As I'm leaving, he asks my friend, give me his number. I want to speak to him later on without everybody around us. So we're leaving. We're driving off. We're going to a restaurant. Where was it? Asia Grill, I think it is, in Miami. What's that? The Chinese spot.
Oh, in the corner over there?
Asia Grill.
Okay.
So we're driving to eat, and all of a sudden, Kanye's calling me. My friend was like, don't pick up. Show him that who's boss. Don't pick up.
Kanye's calling. All right.
Missed call. He calls
How many times did he call?
3 times. Three
Wow.
times.
3
in a row.
times
3
you rejected his
Wow.
call.
Rejecting.
3 times.
Don't worry, Kanye's not watching. He doesn't
It's
watch.
okay, I'm
He
not
doesn't watch
worried.
Jewish shows.
I already got his money. So he calls my friend. He was like, where are you guys? Why isn't he not picking up? He was like, oh, we're at this restaurant. He's right. I'm pulling up. Tell him to come out. I said, oh, my goodness. Like, this guy's on my case. I pull up. He pulls up. I come outside. He was like, listen, give me the chain. I promise you you'll get wired tomorrow. Here's my assistant's number.
He's begging you for the chain.
He's begging me. I was like, listen, if someone's going to rob me, he would have robbed me the first time when he had it on his neck. I see he's really desperate. So I gave him the chain, hoping that he'll pay me. Thank God he did pay me. And literally, we just grew a relationship,
Wow.
and it went from there.
That's a crazy
So
story.
let me ask you. That it is a crazy story. Let me ask you, because we do have a lot of people out there that are watching, and just in general, everybody has the illusion of working with celebrities. They feel like, if I get in with the celebrities, et cetera, et cetera. First of all, do you enjoy working with celebrities?
So I enjoy working with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they help me have a parnasa to give back to the community, to raise my family, and to enjoy my life. So I enjoy every clientele, to answer your question.
Right.
But at times it does get hectic, it gets annoying. They invite you out to their house to show jewelry, and you're sitting there for 5 hours before they actually come out of their room from breakfast or whatever they're doing. So it does get annoying,
Right.
but at times it could be fun.
Right.
There are glitz and glamour, but there's a lot of suffering and pain to it as well.
Interesting.
I'd like to ask you this. Going back to how you were raised. Now, you said you were raised in the public school system.
Correct.
I did notice that anywhere you walk, you always have a kippah on.
Correct.
Now, you grew up in a public school system. You're dealing with celebrities. You have a kippah on. I can see where most of the times you'd say, maybe I can take it off. Maybe I should take it off. And when you're doing interviews and so on, you also seem to have your kippah on, which we have great respect for.
Correct.
In today's day and age, it's very challenging to wear a kippah.
Correct. So there are sometimes I do take it off. I judge the circumstance I'm in, see how far it'll go, or if it could hurt me in any way, or if it'll cause any conflict. There are times that I will take it off if I have to go into an establishment that's not kosher, or just an environment that's not healthy. I would take it off, just not to
Make a chil Hashem.
Chil Hashem, correct?
Of course.
But I've been wearing a kippah for the last 3 years.
So this is something new that you've been.
I used to wear it prior. I stopped. It was a break, and then I took it
What
up.
changed to say, hey, you know what? I'm a proud Jew. I want to wear a kippah.
I think I should keep that private.
You know, first of all,
I keep that private.
I have to say, I love
Sensitive topic.
I love the honesty, and I love the way you're approaching it because, many people going through a lot of challenges, a lot, and people look at themselves, and we're pretty hard critics on ourselves in a sense where we say, I did this, I must be a bad guy, right? And it confuses us and it brings us to a worse state. And the truth is, every single one of us are great. Like Rav Sa'adon was once saying, he says, every single Jew is like a walnut. He says, it doesn't matter how much dirt is on the outside or what we've done in the past. When you open it, when you crack it open, it's a clean walnut. Every single one of us, that's the neshama that we have. And the ups and downs that you've gone through religiously, right? Let's just say kippah, no kippah, celebrity world, coming down, going up. It's all normal. And it's very important to talk about because a lot of people are going through their internal struggles. Maybe not in that way, but in their different ways, in religion and things like that. And I appreciate the honesty on that. And I think it's very important for people to understand it's normal.
No, but the biggest thing about him that strikes me the most is that when you're involved in that lifestyle and dealing with celebrities, you're a jeweler, you're, all over the place, and then you don't lose where you came from.
Yeah.
People who become rich, who become famous, what happens is, you're from the Bukharan community, you embrace it. You still give back to the community. You're still a part of it. Many people, they're just, I was there, now I'm gone, and I'm living my life. Something about you is that you have that element that wants to give back.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the younger people, they're drawn to you. I'm drawn to you.
Yeah.
You started this amiathletics group right now for basketball for the youth. And in the beginning...
Not only for basketball, all sports.
All sports.
All sports.
So when you were getting involved, I'm like, all right, Richie's he's going to burn out after a week. He's going to burn out after 2 weeks. We're 2-3 months in, and you're full of steam. And it's just growing. And that passion and that energy and that care from a guy that, should maybe not be so focused on,
Right.
the community.
And you see from our
Laser
store,
focused.
Look, we're all in the retail. We have retail stores here, and we see the amount of intermarriage. How many clients come in, right?
Correct.
Getting married to goyim and things like that, and we see the importance of that. And the way, like Elon was saying, you're staying level-headed. It's very inspirational for all the people around to understand that in life things take time. Speaking of Ami Athletics, before that, Richie started something called the Richie Rich Wish Foundation. That personally inspired us very much. We've donated towards that as well. Richie, I'm going to allow you to speak about the Richie Rich Foundation. Tell us what it's about.
So about in 2018, I came up with the idea. At first, I didn't have any foundation at that time. 2018, a friend of mine, he was going through a difficult time with his child, and that child was actually friends with my daughter at the time, and they were going through a difficult time, and I saw a connection with kids. Obviously, everybody has a connection with kids. I felt a bit deeper. It was more meaningful to me than it might be to you or to yourself. So I said, you know what? Let me give back somehow to kids that are in the hospital. Let me start off small. I reached out to a few of my friends, a few of my clients that were able to put some money. I could easily go and put out the money myself, but I wanted to gather everybody for where it comes as a group, not just myself, but as a group. So at that time, we reached out to a few restaurants in the neighborhood. We asked them to be a part of it. We raised maybe, I believe, two Sprinter vans full of toys. We dropped it off in Cohn's Children's Hospital for Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever the holiday the people might celebrate. And when I dropped it off, at that moment, I felt kind of disappointed. They literally gave me a wagon. They were like, thank you for your donation. They left it in the lobby. And I had someone that worked in the hospital. They're like, listen, all the toys that you donated, just the nurses are taking home. I didn't care where the toys went as long as it went to kids. But nurses that had kids that were well at home or that had money, they would be taking the gifts. I was like, what was the point of this whole toy drive? So 2019 came along. That was the first toy drive was a success. 2019 came along. I said, listen, I need to step it up a little. I still reached back to Cohen's hospital. I gave them a second chance. Failed again. Second time they failed me. I said, you know what? It's meant from God. Let those kids have it. It doesn't matter. Then I saw it was getting bigger and bigger. In the summer of 2020, COVID time, there was a gala in Casa Cipriani, Moonlight Gala. I was invited by a friend of mine. It was an auction for awareness for kids with special needs. They were raising money, and Meyer Savdi is the president of the Care for Special Children. When he hit the stage and he was giving his story, I'm not an emotional guy, but when he hit the stage, I start tearing right away, instantly. He has 7 kids. Out of the 7 kids, 3 of them are with special needs. I heard his story. I heard him out. And after the dinner, I approached him outside. I said, listen, I really need your business card. I want to reach out to you. I have a project in mind, and I think it could go a long way. 2020, November time, I reached out to him a month before the holidays. Said, listen, I'm starting off my 3rd annual toy drive. I want to do it in your facility for your cause, whatever it is. Whatever kids you have under your umbrella, I'm willing to give back to. We collected about 150, 200 kids in Flatbush Yeshiva. Thank you, Flatbush Yeshiva, if you're listening. They supported me throughout the whole journey. We had about 200 kids at the time. We had carnival games. The kids from the yeshiva actually came out and helped out, gave a helping hand. We raised about $50,000 worth of toys, iPads, and so on. And when Meyer called me right before the event, he said, listen, Richie, we really need iPads. I said, listen, I'm burnt out through money already. 50,000 of toys is 50,000 of toys. That's one whole U-Haul truck. He said, Richie, I really need toys. See what you could do. I looked to my brother. I said, David, he's really begging for iPads. What do we do? I closed my eyes. I said, listen, let me go to the Apple store. I'm going to buy 20, 30 iPads. Let's see where it goes. Literally, we bought the iPads. We had the event. We gave the iPads only to children that are nonverbal children, kids that cannot speak, 8, 10, 15-year-old kids that cannot speak for all their lives. So we bought them these iPads. We pre-downloaded special programs for them. And like 2 months later, in February, the event happened in December, February, March time, I get an email with one of the parents sending me a video. I believe the kid was 8 years old, 9 years old. And the kid starts saying horse, horse, horse. He hasn't spoken one word his whole life. And because of this farm game that was on the iPad, he was able to speak. So right there, I said, listen, whatever I do for these kids is amazing. Wow. One iPad, one toy, I'll give.
They say it's better to give than to receive.
Correct.
When you see something like that, that's just uplifting, motivating, and actually makes you want to do more.
Exactly. And
it's very touching.
The following year was COVID. Like COVID came back. It was on and off. So we skipped for 2 years. 2023, last year, we raised about $125,000 worth of toys, cash, money. We had an amazing event. 600 kids with special needs showed up to the event. We brought in not only Care for Special Children group, we had different organizations. Tammy Chaimov, not Chaimov, Fuzailov. She helped out. She's great. She has a whole list of kids, and we were able to have her involved. And we gave out Apple Watches this year, and iPads, but mostly Apple Watches. And this year we were able to save a kid, Motzei Shabbat. He went missing right after shul. He was an autistic kid. He ran away from shul. Luckily, he had the Apple Watch on, and they were able to track him. And he was just laying in the beach in Brighton Beach, and that's a far walk from where Flatbush Yeshiva is. So picture how far he walked, and they were able to track him down.
This is actually saving lives.
Yes.
And you're still active in the foundation.
Yes. So this year I created my own foundation, the Richie Rich Wish Foundation. Anything to do with kids. If someone calls me, there was a girl in the community. She has no parents. Both her parents, I believe, passed away. She lives with her aunt. It was her bat mitzvah. We sponsored her bat mitzvah. in January. And funny story, the bat mitzvah actually fell out on my Hebrew birthday, so it was amazing for us.
Unbelievable.
It was a celebration.
How do you have time to deal with all this? Being busy at work, foundation,
I don't know.
running a basketball league.
There's enough hours, I guess. Luckily I was able to see my family give back to the community all my life. So I was able to inherit that, and hopefully I could continue the legacy.
And
No medication though, right? On all
No medication, thank God.
That'll slow him down.
And I tell you something, he just said something, a good point, that he saw that his family's giving. I believe that a lot of this, you have to have a zchut, you have to have a merit to be able to give and to affect people's lives like that.
Yeah,
it's not given
sure.
to everyone. I remember I had a conversation once with my uncle Eddie. He's also a big philanthropist. He runs a shul and he donates a lot of money everywhere. And one Hatzalah event, they called him up over there, and he I think he sponsored a defibrillator or one of these machines. Defibrillator. And there was a kid who went into cardiac arrest playing some sports. And that machine ended up saving his life. And I remember I ended up coming to Eddie and I said, listen, it says, Kol hamatzil nefesh echad miYisrael, right? It's as if you saved the entire world. Right. So I said, it's unbelievable, but it's more unbelievable that God picked you, right? God could give you in your mind to sponsor something else.
Also, it could have been anybody else.
Or nothing. Or it could have been somebody else.
He was zucheh.
Or gambling.
But God, or gamble it away, exactly. Yeah. But God gave him the zchut to be able to save that person's life. And I think it's an unbelievable thing because God gave you this opportunity to be able to affect so many people's lives. And honestly, I was very touched by that story. That horse story specifically is wow.
Yeah, so we're still in touch with those families. A lot of the families are just getting back. They're on a waiting list from the New York City government to get these iPads, 2-3 years. And when the parents would come up and cry, I would literally see parents crying for an iPad. And I said, if this one iPad will make this family closer and happier and could change lives, I'll give iPads all day long.
Wow.
That's incredible. We have, about 10 or 12 years back, we were approached by Hatzalah, the Hatzalah organization, by Ian Rowe and Mr. Nagdiman. And they came over to us. I think they came over to a bunch of us, but in different times. And they said, listen, we want to do a fundraiser for Hatzalah. And they specifically came to the Sephardic or Bukharian community saying, hey, you guys are also involved and you also use Hatzalah when necessary, but yet not so many of donations are coming from your side.
Correct.
So kind of get into that. And they wanted us to get our guys involved in sponsoring or helping out and fundraising Hatzalah. Now, we know that a few years back you donated an Hatzalah truck.
My family and a few others, maybe like 10, 15 other families. Gary Barnett, for those who know him, he's a real estate mogul out in New York City, correct?
Yeah.
He had a fundraiser with Hatzalah in his office, and there was 10 other Bukharian families, and they were all able to throw down, and that was
together. You donated a truck.
One truck, correct.
Now that was one truck, and ever since this started, I know that Moshe and Elon,
correct.
You guys also donated a truck.
Yeah, we were part
right?
of it. We were
part of helping donate a truck. Yeah.
Well, how did that come about? I know it's an interesting story, Moshe. Fill us in on that.
So, I think Elon was saying that back, was it 10 years ago it started when Hatzalah approached Benji and you.
So they invited us to a dinner and they were trying to figure out a way to create awareness for the Bukharian people to get involved with Hatzalah. Right. Rabbi Palmer from Ezra Academy, he was a Hatzalah member, and he came to my house one time and he told me that so many Bukharians use Hatzalah. I think at the time he used the comparison of 70% Bukharians are using it compared to 30% Ashkenazim in the community. But the overwhelming majority of people donating to Hatzalah were Ashkenazim. Why can't the Bukharians get involved? He said to the point where in Regal Park, people were using Hatzalah trucks as an ambulance service to, pick people up on Tuesdays and Thursdays to get dialysis. And now you call Hatzalah, they can't say, I can't take you. But at the same time, if somebody really needed the truck, it was being used for something which isn't an emergency, right? So when he told me that, back then, I was more closed-minded. I didn't understand, the way the Ashkenazim contributed into our community. So I went out. Benji Kalangi invited us to, I think it was Yair Jacob's house.
Right.
We had a meeting over there, and we're discussing different ways of how to start a fundraiser to allow the Bukharians to become aware
involved.
and to be involved. So They created a dinner at Oligarch. It was $1,000 a plate. Obviously, you're not paying for the food. All that money is going there. But that was a way to bring the Bukharians in the door, because I guess we associate, things with dinners. It's harder for us to maybe do parlor meetings and stuff like that. So this is the way they did it. At that event, it's funny you mentioned your Uncle Eddie. I think it was the night where Eddie donated that.
He inspired us. Yeah.
He inspired you. You got excited. And you went up to...
No, so Yechiel Nagdiman from Hatzalah, they're walking around and they're like, they want to get donations. At this point, it was $1,000 a head to get in. Everybody gave that. So the guy from Hatzalah comes to me and he says, we want to raise money. So I said, what do you guys need? He says, we need a truck, an ambulance truck. So I said, what does a truck cost? He tells me $400,000. I'm like, okay. At that point, I was inspired. It's a crazy event.
And they were serving Blue Label.
We got to make this happen.
So
I said, you know what? I came up with an idea. I said, 400,000, 20 guys, I'll be the first. I'll give you 20 grand towards this new truck, Bli Neder. Okay, so long you raise 19 other guys to give 20 grand tonight. So another $380,000 tonight. I turned to my left. My friend Yehuda Nisana was sitting there. I said, Yehuda,
we had a baby boy.
Who just had a baby
this
boy.
morning.
Yeah. I said, Yehuda, whether you want it or not, you're in. And I turned to my right, and Elon was sitting there. And I said, Elon, whether you want it or not, you're in with me. I'm sticking to both of you.
So you got 60 grand
60 grand right here.
On stage.
I said, as long as we get 17 other guys that night. So we tried to promote this. Now they call us up on the stage. The three of us are standing over there. Okay, guys, these three guys, they want to start this thing. They want to get this Hatzalah truck going, blah, blah, blah. And we need other guys. And we were the only three, and nobody said a word. It was like a bummer.
Okay, next.
I mean, it was a bummer, but for me, honestly, I wasn't ready to drop $20,000 on that night. I'm have wishful thinking that no one's going to come up on stage.
Yeah. So,
but going forward.
Yeah. Anyway, so this guy Yechiel Nagdiman, he's a powerhouse. He calls me after the event. I said, you know what? I'll give you a 1-month extension, this and that. Courtesy. And at the end, we had to sit down. There was a guy. I think his last name is Natanov, if I'm not mistaken. It's a guy from Bet Gavriel, and he ended up putting a whole bunch of families for $3,600 each in order to get to the difference of it. We still came up with with that towards the Hatzalah, but at the end we ended up getting it.
You got the truck done.
We ended up getting it done. It was a beautiful event.
Incredible.
And what happened was, and there's always cake on the top of everything. Unfortunately, there was a lady who passed away in our community, very young, from the Machala, and her husband was very, very, she was down. He was telling me how his wife always used to donate to Hatzalah. It was right around that time. And we were very moved, right? So we said to the guy, we're in the middle of doing this truck. Let's put her name on it in memory of her. So he gave us some money, and he became part of, with us. And at the end, this truck was donated also in memory of his wife, who was very, very close to to Hatzalah. It was a very, the way these things came together it was unbelievable. And, to see God's blessing in everything that we do, we got to keep our eyes open. You got to have your spiritual goggles on, because God really connects things in unbelievable ways. And I tell you the truth, I'm very, very blessed. But, thank God I'm blessed with good friends and good people around me. The same way I stuck Elon and Yehuda that night.
I'll stick you again.
He sticks me every week. I'm gonna start declining your calls. I'm kidding, but there was an interesting thing, and this is very important for the Bukharian community to know. Unfortunately, there was another tragic event where a young boy passed away, also from the Machla. And what happened was, we were coming back from a fundraiser, me, Elon, a few other guys, and a friend of ours. He says, Mark Kandanov. He lives in Forest Hills. He says, come to my house for a pool party. Let's go chill. So it's okay, we go chill. We're like 20 guys in the pool.
Oh.
Was it 20 guys?
I think it was 10 guys.
10 guys in the pool.
10 guys after
this
Chaim's fundraiser.
After the fundraiser for the yeshiva, for Chaim, Yeshiva Tiferes Tzion, I think it's called. Anyway, Elon's like, we're going to come up with an idea. He says, we're going to make a special, and this is very important for everyone to hear, because this is still available for everyone. It's called Yad Michal. It's a program that was created in the swimming pool. Yad Michal is Yud Mem, Yam. It was we created this in the water. Anyway, it was
Leilu Nishmat Michael ben Ilanit.
Michael ben Ilanit, and it's a beautiful program. It lends money to the Bukharan community. So if you want to open up a business, they lend up to $50,000 for a business.
So yeah, that's different. For our community, for the Bukharan community, it's an interest-free loan for, I believe, up to 3 years, $7,500. Anyone who needs money and they're having a hard time, it's like a gemach,
right,
to help out the community. And I'll tell you again, what inspired me to do this. It was when I had my liquor store. I had a wine store, Hakerem. I sold it, I would say, around 10 years back. There was a guy named Ari Hach. He comes into my store, and he was just schmoozing with me. And he tells me that, I'm going to a fundraiser right now. I'm like, what kind of fundraiser? They got the Bounce Trampoline Park, and they raised, I think, $250,000 that day just to open up a gemach to loan out money for the Queens community, for people who needed money. So I said, wow. I'm like, these Ashkenazim are doing so much. They're building schools and shuls and mikvahs and all these other programs. And myself, when I had to open up my first business, I needed to borrow money from people. And I understood people have a very, very hard time. They're uncomfortable asking for money. Right. People are always looking for these opportunities. So I told Chaim in the pool, yeah, I'm going to help you, yeshiva. But that's not what I'm passionate about.
Right.
I want to figure out a way how to help people who are looking for money, who have no one to turn
Struggle.
to.
Right.
I have people who are coming up to me, who are buying furniture after they got married because they don't have money to buy furniture. I have a guy who called us because he had a leaking roof and he couldn't fix it. He had no money to fix his roof. I had people calling me because they couldn't, afford their weddings.
Remind me again, the amounts that's lending. It's
specifically for the Bukharan community.
Okay.
Right now it's $7,500 per person. We are going to figure out if there's ways to raise that amount.
Isn't there a $50,000 for business?
That's for business, but it's not for the Bukharan community.
But it's for everyone. The Bukharan community could use it.
Yeah. So
right. Okay. So anyway, it was interesting that night in the pool. How much money we raised in the pool that night?
I think it was $100,000.
$100,000. It was just like we were all there. And
Can we raise it again? Can we have a pool party again?
Let's do it.
We could have
party.
Richie, have a pool?
Season is here.
I'll build a pool.
Let's build a pool.
No, so it was hilarious because I was saying, my friend, he looks at me. He's like, okay, I'm giving first. He gave, and then he looks at me, Moshe, how much you giving? I'm like, Elon, whatever you want, just take it. Really.
Is this before the Hatzalah or after the Hatzalah event? Who's sticking who now?
No, he stuck me back.
All right.
This was after Hatzalah.
It's given back.
But anyway, it's a beautiful.
I have to stick him one more time.
Listen, you know what? God should always give us to be able to stick each other in these good things, because at the end of the day, right?
Itzik also donated to the cause.
Yes, I know.
A lot of guys gave money to the cause.
And it's a beautiful thing, because that's what this is all about. Richie's a guy, right, who many people say, oh, his parents are wealthy. He came from money. He comes from a prominent family. But he took it, he built on it, and you built something tremendous. God bless you in the business that you do. But more than that, and look at the podcast. We're not talking so much about what and how. It's what he's doing with the money and the blessings that God has given him, right? And that's a tremendous thing. And that's what we want to, point out.
Touching on Hatzalah, I'd just like to make one more note. While we were raising money for Hatzalah, that first round, when they wanted to bring the awareness, Tzvi said to me something that inspired me. Tzvi Agudav, he said something that inspired me, that made me give and made go others to go and collect as well. He said, in our lifetime, we're designated certain things and certain approaches or certain adventures that we'll go through. And if you were ever decreed, or one was ever decreed, to have going into an ambulance ride or have some kind of share with Hatzalah or something, it should be in a way where we donated and we gave to them, and that kind of clears our path or our obligation to Hatzalah. That way we don't really have to use their services because we're kind of given to their services. So that's a major thing. Another thing I'd like to point on that is Hatzalah is not an amulet like Elon said. If a person is ill and he's not well and he's able to drive or get driven to the hospital where it's not an emergency situation, they should do that. Hatzalah is really used for emergency situations.
Life and death.
Maybe not life and death, but critical situations where you don't really have any other option. There was a time where my wife was going into labor. It was a Friday night. And I have an Hatzalah member who lives a couple of doors down. He goes, like, what you do? He goes, like, listen, do we call Hatzalah? He says, no. He says, put her in the car and drive her to the hospital. The same way you drive her to the hospital is the same way we would drive her to the hospital. It's not an emergency. Go in. You're allowed to break Shabbat for these type of situations. Jump in the car and drive her there.
on.
Meaning Hatzalah is not an ambulance service to take you from one place to the other. If you're able to do it on your own, do it. If you need the assistance of Hatzalah,
I did
do
it.
not hesitate.
I drove my wife once to the hospital. I got pulled over. That was hilarious. So you're always thinking about it. You're like,
Should have told the police to follow you.
No, he actually let me go. I was shocked. He let me go.
You're shocked that he let you go. Your
No, 'cause
wife's in labor. You're
You're
shocked.
going into
He believed my story. It's like
he believed it while you were making it up?
no, you're like you feel like it, right? You feel like they'd never believe you on such a thing. But yeah, I just want to make a point because in the first podcast, Itzik's asked me that napkin there, is that Gucci sign supposed to be backwards? Is that the style?
I think he
tell me a
forgot
little
to
bit
rip
about
it
that.
off.
Does the sign come off? Does it stay on?
Yeah, is it supposed to be on?
I mean, it goes in your pocket. It's not really supposed to be visible, no?
Well, this came with a purple jacket Moshe was wearing on our first podcast.
Pink jacket.
Oh, the pink jacket,
Pink
rather.
jacket.
And it's kind of a match, but thank
Comment
you for
below
letting
if you
me,
want the pink jacket
borrow
back.
it,
We
Moshe.
love your style, Itzik. We love it.
Appreciate it, man. It's great.
We love your style. Let's get into a little bit of Ami Athletics because this is the newest venture in Richie Rich's Richie Nektalov's
Career.
here.
Yeah,
Career.
And what we're trying to do with it, which is very, very important, and I think a lot of us have to start to get involved with it. We were talking about earlier sports and schools and how it's important. The extracurricular activity is very important. It's good for us mentally. It's good for us as a community, and thank God we started. With the leadership of Richie here, the Ami Athletics organization, and the idea of what we're trying to do here is trying to create a place for everyone, specifically the Bukharian community, to come, right, to play sports, to unite, to be able to intermingle, to know one another, the Forest Hills community, the Jamaica Estates community, the Main Street community, everyone to know
connect.
and to connect.
Unite.
And to unite. And Richie, tell us a little bit about what your vision is. Where do you see it? And the difficulties that you see, or any objects that you see that that are barriers that we need to get past here.
So first of all, before I go on, Itzik, thank you for starting the Z League about 10 years ago with Elon, I believe, correct? That's something that I kind of took away from you guys to help you guys grow it.
Thank you.
And thank you, Elon, Moshe, and the other members that are part of Ami Athletics, helping me grow my vision that I saw.
Specifically, also, Elon Elishayev. The guy is nonstop.
Elon Elishayev, Yuda Nisanov, Ariel Nisanov, David Nektalov, Gabi Elishayev.
Yes.
Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody?
Nati
Elishayev,
yes.
correct.
My brother-in-law, don't forget him.
Yes, and all the sponsors, I want to say thank you to all the sponsors. Hopefully we could have them on the screen. If we could show their logos, they all helped us kind of put this together. So Ami Athletics, where it came from. First of all, the name came from Ariel Nisanov. He helped come up with the name. Ami is my world, my nation. As us, as a Bukharian community or as a Jewish nation, we're all one. Am Israel Chai, correct?
Met.
So that's the naming, but where the whole idea of the facility came, of the athletic program, I grew up, like we mentioned earlier on, in a public school system. There was always gym activities, gym class, basketball class, soccer class. A lot of the yeshivas that I actually went to two yeshivas, they didn't really have a gym. Most of the Sephardic schools in our neighborhood don't have a gym, besides YCQ and Har Torah, and that's still not even Sephardic, that's Ashkenaz. But our kids need that center to come and play where we're all one, and it's not a diverse crowd where it's mixed race or mixed nationalities, a safe home for the community where they could come play sports, keep the kids off the streets. I've lost a few friends growing up because they didn't end up in the right path, but they were going through depression, or they didn't have that home base where they were able to go and show their true colors and receive help. So hopefully with Ami Athletics, our goal is, right now we're in a temporary location, but our future goal is to find a location where there's a basketball court, swimming lessons to be given, a pool, tennis court, some classrooms, dance class, cooking classes, how you mentioned earlier, to teach the girls and even the boys how to cook. I myself don't know how to cook. Hopefully, I'll take that class. But different classes in this AMI athletics. It's not only athletics, but it's all different type of programs. That's our goal. That's our vision.
Beautiful.
And our first program that we put under our umbrella is the Z League, what you guys created. That just kicked off last week. And hopefully down the line, June 23rd, we're releasing
2 weeks already, by the way.
2 weeks.
I know because I'm 2-0.
I'm also 2-0. Don't get ahead of yourself. June 23rd,
No comment.
we're releasing the first youth program, varsity and junior varsity basketball program, and hopefully in the future to have elementary program for ages 6 to 10, hopefully, and soccer, karate, and so on and so forth.
You know, when I was in Chavetz Chaim, I remember they had a gym there also. And the Rosh Hashiva passed away, Rav Henech Leibowitz. So from the top, you know, the gym's in the basement, but there was a window from the top. So as he used to go to his apartment or to the elevator, he used to peek out the window. And when we used to play ball, he used to be excited watching. I remember his face light up. So you saw from a Rosh Hashiva, this is the top of the top, the excitement and the importance when he saw the boys playing. And like I said, I can't stress it enough. Sports is so important. It's so important. It keeps the kids off the street.
Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Something that we're also adding into AMI Athletics are some head rabbis in the community to give not even an hour speech, not even an hour lecture, not even 45 minutes, just 15 minutes. Take 15 minutes of the guys' times, of the kids' time. Give them some inspiral stories, something for them to look up to and to take home with them.
It's more than that. It creates mentorship. That's it. That's even more than that. Even if they're not even to say anything, they're involved.
Right.
They speak to them. They reach out to them. These are a lot of young boys who are in this league, and they need that.
But it should be more than that, by the way. I just came up with an idea here in my head right now. You know, aside from that, mentorship on a spiritual level, which is very important, also mentorship on a business level, right? We have so many people that are successful in business. And you have these new kids, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. They want to figure their lives out.
Everybody needs direction.
Everybody needs direction. Everybody needs a mentor, and
Correct.
this is something also that we could do. You know, we could have like a brother program. You know, like you keep saying my brother, and David Niktalov is a solid guy. But you're lucky you have a David Niktalov. Not everybody has a David Niktalov to ask, hey,
Correct.
you know, Kanye took my chain. What am I doing?
Yeah, without my brother, I
Right?
wouldn't be here today. That's for sure.
So with that, I'm saying that's a beautiful
Big
idea.
Brother program.
A Big Brother program for the kids. They want guidance,
absolutely.
you know, and things like that. Things that, you know, guys who are successful can help out.
Well, that's the whole community aspect of it, where we're all connected and we're all with each other. We have guys who are 40 years old playing. We have guys who are 18 years old playing. We have a huge spectrum.
Correct.
And you have those boys who can reach out to those old, the older guys. So that's
I
important
think that's
as well.
the idea.
Correct. So,
bridging the gap.
So
Bridging the gap.
in the
like
next
that.
2 weeks, we're actually in the AMI Athletics, the Z League. All the guys that are part of the Z League, we're gonna host like a barbecue with some lectures, some stories from businessmen, and we're gonna put together like a united dinner for all those guys.
Wow.
This is also an opportunity for people to network, get to know
network,
each other,
correct,
and get that direction that we're speaking about right now.
So there's rumors that Moshe wants to start a plof cook-off. Is that going to come to light?
Yeah. So back when
Talk to us, Moshe.
when I was in Dallas,
I know you like to eat, so
I love to eat. I think eating is a very important part of being a Jew. Every single holiday they try to kill us, and then we eat. So
To celebrate.
exactly.
Right.
But yeah, so when I was in Dallas, they had something called a chili cook-off. So Dallas is a nice little tight-knit Jewish community, and once a year they used to gather, and people from the community used to make chili, or different businesses used to make chili, and all the families used to come, try the chili. There were concessions, hot dogs, bounce houses for the kids, face painting, music. It was a beautiful event, and at the end there were 3 judges, and they picked the one winner. The chili of the year went to whatever.
John Smith.
So what I think we should do, and what I wanted to do here in the Bukharian community, we just have to come up with the dates and the times, is have different Bukharian caterers or different people who are known for making the best plof. We want to know who the best plof is. We want to know the plof king. Who's the plof king?
Well, Ilya said it's his father.
Ilya says it's his father, but you know what? With no competition, we don't know. Right? I believe
We're
Ilya.
gonna put it into a test.
So therefore, what I want to do is I want to have a day for a few hours. We're going to gather, all of us. It's going to be a free event. People are going to come. We're going to have concessions. You're going to have 10 different people making plof. We're going to have 3 judges, and we're going to pick the plof of the year. Who's the plof of the year? It's a time for music, some gathering, good vibes, getting to know each other, families intermingling, people meeting other people, and you never know where this can go. Speaking of that, we recently opened up another program. It's called Chazak Connections. Okay, I met a few different shatchaniot. They have a group of 17 shatchaniot. Ricky Chafisov is one of them. Sarah Amramov is another one. There's 17 of them. I'm not going to go through them, but what we did is we put it together with Chazak, right, which is my brother-in-law and Rabbi Ilan Meir of Rabbi Yanim's organization, and it's an organization that we did right now with these 17 shatchaniot in order to have events and different ways for the people in our own community to be able to meet, right? There's a crisis, shidduch crisis. People want to get married. People don't know, right? Everyone's going through something else. So as many things as we can create to help that. So Bezrat Hashem, she gave a great idea, Chafisov, Ricky Chafisov. We want to make Bezrat Hashem coming up soon a kiddush on Shabbat. Right now the Shabbats are long. We want to make a singles kiddush. God willing, 1 week we're going to have
children cook-off.
No, not a children cook-off, but an event where the singles can come, certain ages, meet each other, and Bezrat Hashem try to make, bring more children to this world. That's kind of the idea, right? It says that the Mashiach doesn't come until all the neshamot finish from Tachat Kisei HaKavod. So we have to be able to work with everybody and whatever inspires them. But guys, and this is a lesson, honestly, to everyone. The way this podcast started was very simple, right? How did it start? We had an idea. That morning I called Elon. Elon's like, "Are you crazy? I'm not joining your podcast." I said, "Elon, get in the car. There's no options." We took a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and we just have to take that one step. It's always that one step. If we're afraid to take that one step, guys, in anything, it's business. You want to open an organization, whatever you want to do. If you're afraid to take that first step, right, you're never going to ever be successful. Don't be afraid. We need to take it. And Richie, you could be the first to.
But I want to add to that. Anyone who's watching right now, everyone and anyone can help. Anyone could create different programs that the community is yearning for. We need so much. We're so behind, but we're getting there. Yeah. We did so much in the past several years.
Yeah.
Don't think that, I don't have money, I can't do it. You could volunteer with your time. There's effort.
Definitely
people need your
timing.
help.
If you have time and you want to volunteer, we could use your time.
Yeah, and I hate that conversation. Oh, the Bukharan community, we're behind, we're this, we're not doing it. Guys, the Bukharan community is a great community. The amount that they've done in the past 30 years plus.
No other community has.
No, we're behind. We're behind.
We're not behind.
We have we have a lot of catching up to do to the Ashkenazi communities.
On anything. We don't
but
have
we're
to
getting
compete.
there.
We don't have to compete with the Ashkenazi
We're learning from them. We have to learn from their organizations.
You know what we got to do?
We are getting there.
We're very different. We don't have to learn from them per se. Okay? We have to take certain parts of what they do. And that I agree with you. But at the end of the day, we have our own identity. I don't want to become another Ashkenaz community.
Again,
what I think is we're a very special community. The past 30 years, we've done a lot of good. Okay? And I think that if we're able to unite, if we're able to build leadership that is united,
bridge the gap,
and we're able to bridge the gap between the leaders, between the community, you look at a guy Bukharan guy who, this guy wears the dresses like this, or this guy does that, and all of a sudden we say, this guy's like, we have to understand, everyone has different backgrounds.
But we have the same 20
accept
people
each other,
doing the same
love
things.
each other, accept each other,
broaden.
love each other, and just do good.
This is not limited to the Bukharan community, though. This is open to all Jews.
Of course.
Anybody who wants to join, it's open. When you do your foundation, you give those gifts out. It's not just to Bukharan kids, it's to all kids and all Jews that kind of need.
Out of the 600 kids, it was maybe 400 Syrian kids.
Beautiful.
So,
I love the Syrian community.
And that's what it's about. It's
I
for us
envy
to
the
give
Syrian
back
community.
Correct.
to everyone that we have the ability to come and give back to.
And if whoever wants to sponsor any of these programs, feel free to contact us.
The reason why I'm saying this, I look at some of the comments, on the podcast. When we were talking about the weddings or talking about this, some people writing, it's never going to change, it's never going to this. The negativity, there's no room for it. Okay? Change is a difficult process, and there's a thing, it says, Chokhmah b'goyim ta'amin. You can believe the wisdom in the goyim. Michael Jackson says, okay, if you want to make a change, you got to take a look at the mirror. You got to change yourself first.
Yeah,
okay?
Correct.
Change takes time. It's a process. Right now, we're trying to build awareness, and that's a beautiful thing. Understand, first, before you want to change anything, you have to understand whether you're in the wrong or in the right, or how you're understanding things. Only then we're able to change
Of course,
things.
listen, Bukharians did a lot of good things. Torah Anytime is an amazing thing which was created by Bukharians.
What do you mean
Chazak,
amazing thing? Do you know what Torah Anytime is?
yeah.
Torah Anytime is, one second, don't just blow by that.
I'm not blowing by. I brought it
Torah
up.
Anytime is today, there's probably the most Torah taught in Am Yisrael from TorahAnytime.com. You know why?
And we are
Because it's a website created by two Bukharian boys from Kew Garden Hills, okay? Two Sephardi boys, Kol Yaakov brothers, and the amount of Torah that's coming out from two boys from Kew Garden Hills.
and that
we're not a fancy neighborhood,
and that was their time and effort.
right?
That was time and effort, and everyone can do it. Again,
And look
I
what
think we're doing-
Chazak created.
We're doing
two Bukharian boys.
We're doing amazing things, but there's a lot more to do.
And how many?
Everyone has
and
to
how many
participate.
more? And how many more boys we have today that have the potential, right?
As many.
And are
As
afraid.
many.
And are afraid. They're afraid to take that step, guys. We can create. We're great. Each and every one of us are great. Every single one of us. You know, we're not trying. There was already one Avram Avinu. There was already a Yitzchak, right? But God put a Richie on this world, and we want to see the greatest Richie, and we want to see the greatest Elon and the greatest, Itzik.
It was already the greatest Moshe. So
Right? Right. So that's why I don't care. I'm kidding.
Okay.
But my
there's only
this-
one Moshe Saadia.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there's only one. And every single one of us is expected to bring out the most. It's very important. I speak very passionately about it because, God even says, you have to open up a hole like the size of a needle and I'll open up the rest. Just do it. Nike was right. You got to just do it. Don't be scared. Richie, and you could attest to that. You see the difference it makes by
Yes.
just doing it.
You just got to put in your time, effort, and everything else will lead.
And it's not limited. Each one of us can donate or take part in any way that we can.
In any part.
It's not only money, but it's time, it's
time,
attention, it's
effort.
direction, and
Correct.
effort.
You
And
know,
we all have
we
the
opened
opportunity.
up the Ami Athletics 2 weeks ago. I probably received more complaints than things in the last 2 weeks than I ever seen before.
Yeah.
More complaints than ever. But it's okay. That's what we're here
No,
for.
but I see
and
things.
that's what we're gonna build.
Wait, you know what people sending me? Moshe, could you please make sure my son gets into the Ami Athletics Youth League?
Yes, I get
want
that
to keep.
also.
I want to keep my kid off the street, guys. I want to keep my kid off the street. That's what we need to do because at the end of the day, number one, it keeps kids off the street. Then they grow up in a system where you have mentorship from the rabbis that we were trying to create and mentorship for businesses. So this kid's going to be successful and tomorrow be able to give back.
Yes, that's the
We
most
need
important
to
thing,
create-
to build the future.
We need to create that.
because we need to, listen, these kids are watching basketball. We need to connect to them. The only way to get them to be normal nowadays is to speak their language. This is the kids' language.
that's how this
For
started,
some kids it's
in your house.
basketball, some kids it's cooking, some kids it's
And look
soccer.
at this, it's full circle. We met in his house, bunch of kids over there. I know the parents. The kids are completely different than the parents. And bridging that gap, and the way to do it really is number one, we have to build self-esteem in these kids. All right? Every single one of these kids have to understand how great they are.
One step at a time, we're gonna get closer, and everybody's gonna be united.
Yeah.
And we're gonna build the greatest future for the community.
And this is what this is about, to bring that awareness for everybody to take part in it. We're starting to give back. The community's starting to give back. Richie, Moshe, Elon, all of us are taking that step. And this is part of the awareness that we're trying to bring out here in this podcast. We're trying to get everybody in on giving back.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for coming. Richie, thank you
Thank
very
you
much
for
for
having
taking
me.
the time and being with us and putting your efforts and time into Ami Athletics, into the community, into the foundation. We want to let everybody
you.
know that we have, Michelle's going to put the link below. Those of you who want to donate both to the Richie Rich Foundation.
And
you
if
can
anybody needs a free loan, we could also add the Yad Michael link if you want to send out.
yes, definitely, Michelle. Add the Yad Michael link below if anybody needs a loan. Use it. It's there for us. It's something that we put together and built for the community. We're looking forward, guys. Make sure to subscribe and follow. We're looking to reach 10,000 members by July.
Yeah. And this
Be
week, by
there
the
to
way,
get that word out.
I just forgot to add one thing before we close out. This week we have to sit down with Ilya Damikel together with Richie
Yeah,
over
we're gonna
here.
close the menu.
We're closing that menu. We
And,
did not
yes.
forget. We're working on it diligently, and we're going to, God willing, bring some results.
Yes, so that was a surprise that Moshe just gave out. That menu will be debuted real soon here on the show. Looking forward to see you guys in the next one. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.